The early 19th century marked a transformative era for military doctrine, defined by the rise of the light infantry. While small arms had become sophisticated enough for a skilled marksman to hit targets at 100 yards, the weapons were not yet accurate enough for this to be a simple feat. The quality of these specialized troops often determined the outcome of an entire campaign. This was never more evident than during the Peninsular War, where the French legions of Napoleon Bonaparte clashed with King George's armies on the rugged terrain of Spain and Portugal. Among the red-coated regulars of the British Army, one group stood out in their distinctive green jackets, the sharpshooters, who would help bring about Napoleon's downfall. The reputation of the 95th Rifles has endured for over 2 centuries. Armed with the iconic Baker rifle and operating under the motto, "First in, last out," they represented a facet of warfare where Britain held a clear advantage over its French adversaries. However, the success of the 95th was only part of a larger story. Britain possessed several highly skilled light infantry units, all of which were the product of a radical new training system developed at the Shorncliffe barracks on England's south coast. This system was the brainchild of General Sir John Moore, the man who revolutionized British light infantry reforms. Although Moore died at the Battle of Corunna before seeing the full fruits of his labor, the Duke of Wellington later admitted that the British Army could never have won without the foundation Moore laid. John Moore was a forward-thinking officer in an age of strategic conservatism. His varied career took him from the American War of Independence to Corsica, the West Indies, and Ireland. In Ireland, he authored a light infantry manual that served as a precursor to the Shorncliffe System, aiming to create a hybrid soldier that combined the precision of a Jaeger with the strength of a grenadier. Moore was also a proponent of physical fitness and the humane treatment of soldiers, believing that a healthy, respected soldier performed better than one ruled by fear and the lash. By the dawn of the 19th century, Britain was in desperate need of these reforms. While the Royal Navy secured the seas, the British Land Army struggled to match the French. A primary disparity lay in the quality of skirmishers. British troops were often trained only for the parade ground, firing ineffective volleys toward smoke, whereas French chasseurs were taught to conceal themselves and fire only when they had a clear target. The French favored dedicated regiments of skirmishers, while the British system initially embedded only one light company within a standard 10-company battalion. This hindered specialized training. The threat of a French invasion in 1903 accelerated the need for change. Napoleon had gathered 115,000 men at Boulogne, just across the English Channel. In response, Moore was appointed to command the southern military district. He recognized that the wooded, undulating hills of southern England would favor expert skirmishers. To defend the shores and eventually take the fight to the continent, Britain needed elite light troops. Shorncliffe Camp became the laboratory for this new breed of soldier. The 95th Rifles were the first to arrive, followed by the 52nd Oxfordshire and the 43rd Monmouthshire regiments. Moore oversaw their conversion to light infantry, hand-picking the most intelligent and active men. The 60th Royal American Regiment, an amalgamation of German sharpshooters who also wore green and carried rifles, joined them. Together, these units formed the backbone of what would become the legendary Light Division. The Shorncliffe system balanced rigorous drill with advanced marksmanship. Unlike the Standard Army, where soldiers were expected to be mindless cogs, Moore's training prioritized professionalism, ingenuity, and individual initiative. In the mornings, soldiers practiced light drills and marksmanship. In the afternoons, they focused on close order maneuvers. Marksmanship was treated with scientific precision. Targets were designed to be large enough for beginners to learn from their misses, but small enough to demand focus. Soldiers were ranked by their skill, progressing to longer ranges as they improved. The drilling was equally innovative. Soldiers learned to transition seamlessly from a traditional line to an extended order, where files were spaced 1.5 meters apart to provide better cover and a clearer view of the enemy. They also perfected the close column of companies, a versatile formation that allowed them to move quickly and form defensive squares against cavalry in a matter of seconds. This speed and flexibility would prove vital on the battlefields of Spain. Equally revolutionary was the training of the officers. Moore insisted that officers be drilled alongside the recruits until they could march, shoot, and skirmish as well as the men they led. In a highly hierarchical society, this was almost unheard of, but it ensured that captains were in the thick of the action, capable of leading by example. Furthermore, Moore transformed the culture of discipline. He fostered an attitude of mutual respect, largely replacing the cat of nine tails with a system based on pride and shared responsibility. At Shorncliffe, initiative won out over blind obedience. The ultimate test for these special forces came in the Iberian Peninsula. Under the command of General Robert Black Bob Crawford, the Light Division became the most feared unit in Wellington's army. Their prowess was immortalized at the Battle of Fuentes de Onoro in 1911. When the British 7th Division found itself trapped in the open by French cavalry, the Light Division moved in to cover their retreat. For 2 miles, while harassed by French horsemen, the Light Division withdrew in alternating squares and close columns. Their discipline was so perfect that the French cavalry could find no opening to strike. By the end of the Napoleonic Wars, the 43rd, 52nd, and 95th had proven that the light infantryman was the soldier of the future. These men were not just shooters, they were reconnaissance experts and independent thinkers who could be trusted to operate far from the main line of battle. The reforms started by John Moore at a wet and bleak camp on the English coast created a legacy of excellence that changed the face of the British Army forever.